Aaron,
One moment. All right, we're live on YouTube. I'm sorry, Natasha, what was that?
did you make me a co-host?
I did, yes.
Thank you.
Julio, with your permission, I'll start the webinar.
That was a thumbs up. Thank you.
Thank you. We should start to see attendees populate.
Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening. I don't know when the afternoon or evening starts, so I'll just say both.
Hi, everyone.
Good afternoon or good evening. Jimmy, how you doing?
Pretty good. Thanks, Julio.
Julio, this is Katie. Can you hear me okay?
Sure can.
Thank you, friend.
Barbara is in Brooklyn Bridge. Hey, Barbara.
We're still a few shy, Julio.
No worries, thank you. It's after 6. I'll start saying good evening. Good evening, everyone. We're going to get started in a few moments. Cesar will be joining us later in the evening, but I'll be starting us off.
Hi, I'm sorry for interrupting, but I'm going to go to my iPad. Okay, I'm going to try to get on there. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll be right back.
Thanks, Barbara. How's our quorum?
I believe we're 3 shy, now we're 4 shy.
Okay, Barbara comes back.
Okay. Okay, I'll be right there. Okay.
I think we're 1 shy.
Thank you.
I'm here.
Hi, Hector. Good to hear you.
Good. Mm.
Members of the public, just a little more patient. We are close to our quorum and we will be starting the meeting once we reach it.
I'll be right back. Wait. Okay. How we doing?
I think we've got it now.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the
In the
October
meeting.
CB7 board meeting. My name is Julio Peña, the third. I'm the first vice chairperson. I'll be starting us off this evening to start the meeting. Before officially opening the meeting, before we get started, let's start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'm going to turn to our wonderful board member, Beverly. Thank you. Just start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the
to the
flag
flag
of the
of the
United
United
States
of America
and to the
to the
republic
for which it stands,
one
one
nation
nation,
under God,
under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And if we can just go to the roll call, please.
Okay, so I will be calling your name, board members. Once I call your name, unmute yourself, say present, and then mute yourself once again. Thank you. Okay, Ramona Acevedo. Ramona Acevedo. Sandra Alfonso. Sandra
Present.
Alfonso. Thank
Sorry,
you.
hi, present.
Thank you. Grisela Amador.
Present.
Thank you. Genesis Aquino. Genesis Aquino. Alexa Aviles. Alexa Aviles. Nicholas Azadian.
Present.
Thank you. Joan Body.
Here.
Thank you. Stacy Boyd.
Here.
Thank you. Gladys Bruno.
Present. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Thank you. Julixa Campusano. Julixa Campusano. Joseph Canale.
Here.
Thank you. Justin Collins. Justin Collins. John DeLuper.
Here. Present.
Thank you. Beatrice DeSapio.
Present.
Thank you. David Estrada.
Here.
Thank you. Cynthia Felix.
Present.
Thank you. John Frontillis. John Frontillis. King Fung. King Fung. John Garcia. John Garcia. Anthony Giglio. Anthony Giglio. Cynthia Gonzalez. Cynthia Gonzalez. Hector Gonzalez.
Here.
Thank you. Kenny Guan. Kenny Guan. Nicole Huang. Nicole Huang. Zachary Jacey. Zachary Jacey. John Johnston.
Here.
Thank you. Beverly Kleinman.
Here.
Thank you. Waco. Waco. Barbara Lee.
Present. I'm sorry. Present.
Thank you. Christina Lem.
Here.
Thank you. Jimmy Lee.
Present.
Thank you. Paul Mack.
Here.
Thank you. Antoinette Martinez. Antoinette Martinez. Aurelis Martinez. Aurelis Martinez. Marilyn Melman.
Here.
Thank you. Dan Murphy.
Here.
Thank you. Gloria Rodriguez Navoa. Gloria Rodriguez Navoa. Julio Pena III.
Present.
Thank you. Rovika Rashkashan.
Present.
Thank you. Karen Rolnick.
Here.
Thank you. Patricia Ruiz. Patricia Ruiz. Sam Sierra. Sam Sierra. Brian Slater. Brian Slater. Victor Swinton.
Present.
Thank you.
Bob.
Cindy Van de Bosch.
Present.
Thank you. Catherine Walsh.
Present.
Thank you. Fred Wolf.
Present.
Thank you. Cesar Zuniga. Cesar Zuniga. Gloria Rodriguez Navoa. I see you waving. I can't hear you, but I'll mark you down present.
Here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's a roll call.
Maria, excuse me. This is Cynthia Gonzalez. I had a little bit of problem.
responding to my attendance, but yes, I am present.
Okay, I will mark you present, Cynthia
And Maria,
Gonzalez. Thank you.
Kin Fung was an attendee, and I made him a panelist, so if you could just call him again.
Ken Fung,
Yes,
marking him present.
present.
Fred Wolf.
Thank you.
Oh, hold on, one
Thank
person
you,
at a time,
Jeremy.
please raise your hands. Fred Wolf.
Yes.
Okay, you're here. I'll mark you present. Okay, yes. Genesis Aquino.
Here, present.
Thank you. Okay, that should do it.
Thank you, Maria. And just to note again, we do 2 roll calls, one at the beginning of the meeting and one before, a second one right after committee reports. So if your name isn't called, if you missed the first one, we take attendance again at the second one. So thank you again, everyone. Opening of the meeting, I'd like to move to adopt the meeting with one amendment. I'd like to add an agenda item to add a vote. I'd like to add a vote to, give me 1 second. I'd like to add a vote to sign on to a petition from Voces Ciudadanas to support universal after-school programs in the CD7 district. And I would like to add that after the committee reports. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda as amended?
I second the motion.
Me too.
Thank you. If there are no objections,
Please just say names.
that was a motion to adopt by Dan Murphy and seconded by Gloria.
Thank you.
No objections, so the motion passes. I'd like to move to adopt the minutes of the September 22nd board meeting. Is there a motion to adopt?
Motion.
Motion made by Cynthia Gonzalez.
Second.
Who
Second
was the
by
second?
Joan.
Joan Body seconded. Hearing no objections. There are none, so the motion carries unanimously. I'd like to move to adopt the minutes of the October 12th public hearing. Is there a motion to adopt?
Joan makes a motion to adopt.
Joan Body makes a motion to adopt. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jimmy Lee. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the minutes of the October 12th public hearing is adopted. Entertain a motion to adopt the minutes of the October 13th public hearing.
Motion, Cynthia.
Thank you.
Felix
Motion
Jeffers.
adopted by Cynthia Felix. Can I get a second?
Second, Vic Swinton.
Thank you, Victor. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously for the October 13th public hearing. Now we'll go to public comments. The first public comment are for items on tonight's agenda. And I will pass it to my esteemed colleague, Jeremy Lawfer.
Thank you, Julio. Members of the public, you could use the raise hand function to speak about any item that's on the agenda this evening, as Julio just mentioned. I have one hand up. I can give you permission to speak. Ann Renazzo, you have 3 minutes to talk, and if you look at my window, I will be the time clock, and you can unmute yourself.
Thank you, Jeremy. So my name is Ann Renazzo. I am a resident of Sunset Park, 4th generation. My daughter is a resident of Sunset Park, 5th generation. She's also a child attending Brooklyn Rise Charter School. So I'm here in support of the school. I'll make it brief. I'm not going to take much time. Number one, Sunset Park needs more schools. We don't want them, we need them. Number two, Brooklyn Rise needs more space. They don't want it, they need it. I'm going to just echo what Ms. Everett said at the past meeting. There's children receiving therapy in hallways. We don't have another 2 to 3 years to find space. Historically speaking, schools are good for communities. I mean, I know there was concerns about traffic and pollution. They were addressed, acknowledged, and addressed above and beyond what was even required. This block is not a hazard. I mean, there's already a daycare on 44th Street and 3rd Avenue, and this is a daycare. I know there was also a concern about small children being on this block. You have pre-K kids on this block on 44th and 3rd. The current school that we're at on 5th Avenue is dangerous more than 44th Street. 5th Avenue, I don't know if anyone's been there lately. It's a nightmare. And just lastly, this is just from a personal perspective because my child is in this school. The inertia that we're receiving about actually getting this building is heart-wrenching. I mean, every time I hear it, it's like taking hits to the gut. I mean, it's sad. We need small school options in Sunset Park. This building is perfect. I support it. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it'll be a great addition to 44th Street, as I've been saying. And that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for letting me speak. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I have Richard Lobel next.
Thank you, Jeremy. Richard Lobel, and I understand Carrie is speaking next on behalf of the school. So I just wanted to briefly discuss the nature of the application. I know Jeremy's probably going to be timing me right now. Thank you. Thank you. We are at BSA for a variance application, and we've been before the land use committee now twice, and we lost by a vote of 2-4. So really what it was there were two individuals who, if they'd voted yes, we would have basically been approved by the land use committee, which is going to be reported to the full board. So here's what I want to say. A lot of people tell me, because I go to community board meetings every week regularly, that community boards don't have a lot of say in land use applications. And I'm here to tell you that is not the case here, that this community board tonight will have a say in whether or not the community board approves an application for a school. And if not, I will likely tell you that it will be far more difficult, if not impossible, to get this approved at BSA. So oftentimes the statement that a community board doesn't have any power is said in the negative. Here, potentially, it will be very negative in impacting Brooklyn Rise Charter School. There are over 150 kids right now in a space over a drugstore on 5th Avenue who have no cafeteria, no gym, no art space, and no library. And what I would like to say as an applicant who's been before BSA for over 100 schools is that that's not right. And you're looking at a population in the school of students who the majority of whom are from this area and this community board, and the overwhelming majority of whom are on reduced price or free lunches. If we really want to educate kids in this area, you will have to vote yes to this school, and you will have to listen to the people who voted yes on the land use committee and do that. We presented over 73 pages of information at the last land use hearing, addressing things like traffic and addressing environmental concerns. Our environmental consultants are excellent. They've done over a dozen schools at BSA. They know what they're doing, and we can address that, and we want to address that on a going forward basis with the community board, but it's not going to happen without you. It is not a matter of the size of this building. This building right now, as it exists, has enough square footage to be built to a square footage of 67,000 square feet. The school is only seeking to inhabit the existing building with a small addition on top for 52,000 square feet. It's not about the size of this building, it's about the use. And as someone who doesn't live in the community but sees a lot of schools in front of BSA, I think it would be an absolute shame to not provide for these kids and allow them a decent place to live in and inhabit as students in a living, breathing environment. And so with that, I would say that Carrie would probably like to talk, and we're happy to work with the community board going forward.
Thank you.
Sorry, you're muted, Jeremy.
Sorry, Carrie Finnegan is next.
Hello, everyone. Excuse me. Hello, everyone. I'm Carrie Finnegan. I am the founder and head of school of Brooklyn Rise Charter School. We currently serve 180 students, kindergarten through third grade, and we plan to grow to eventually to be a K through 8 school that will serve 460 students and families in the Sunset Park community. We give preference to students whose home language is other than English, students who qualify for free and priced lunch, and students who reside within District 15. Currently, 90% of our students qualify for free and reduced price lunch, 25% of our students receive special education services, 40% are multilingual learners, and 75% of our students reside in the Sunset Park zip codes of 11220 and 11232. We are a small school designed to serve multilingual learners. We have smaller class sizes, 2 teachers in every classroom, and our students spend most of their days in small group learning so that we are able to provide each and every student with the specific learning supports they need to be successful academically and social emotionally. We love serving students and families in the Sunset Park community, and we currently do so from 10,000 square feet above the Rite Aid and below the Senior Center on 53rd Street and 5th Avenue. We desperately need more space, and I've been tirelessly looking for a building that can serve as our school's forever home as we continue to grow. After 3 years of searching, we could not find a site east of 3rd Avenue in Sunset Park that had the square footage we need to grow as a school. We also couldn't find a building east of 3rd Avenue that had a developer willing to build the school out for us, which is important because as a public school, we do not have the funds to build and develop the school ourselves. 222 44th Street was not our first choice, but it is our only choice. And we really do believe it has the potential to be a beautiful space that will allow our school to continue to serve our students and families. We appreciate the Land Use Committee's thoughtful consideration of our BSA application for 222 44th Street. We understand and respect their concerns of student health and safety, as student health and safety are our #1 priorities as a school. We believe strongly, and the data shows us, that 222 44th Street is a safe place for a school and in fact supports a greater community effort to connect Upland Sunset Park to the waterfront so that families in the community can more easily and safely enjoy the waterfront at locations like Busch Terminal Park. Through extensive study and analysis of the space, we believe we can keep students safe and healthy without disturbing the surrounding local businesses. And if anything, we hope to support an already diverse area that has mixed commercial, residential, and light industrial uses. As a public charter school, our families choose our school, they trust our school, and they support this location, and they believe strongly that 222 44th Street can be a school that provides the learning and enrichment opportunities our students deserve. There will be a gym, a play yard, large classroom spaces, special education pull-out spaces, a cafeteria, and enrichment classrooms for music, art, science, and dance. These are all things we currently do not have, but we believe our students deserve to have access to. Thank you so much for your time and thoughtful consideration of our proposal to site our school at 222 44th Street. Thank you, Jeremy.
No problem. My alarm sounds pretty silly there. I have Kevin Williams next. Kevin, you could unmute yourself.
Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Well, we could see your name, but you could speak now.
Got it. Thank you, Jeremy. I'm Kevin Williams. I'm a managing director at Equity Environmental. We're a firm that has provided environmental analyses on more schools than any other consultant firm in the city for the past 4 to 5 years at the Board of Standards and Appeals, handling schools in all boroughs throughout the city, including in this borough and in this community district. And I, put my reputation and my honesty as a professional and as an urban planner on the line every time that I analyze a school for traffic, for air quality, noise, and all other concerns that are either covered by City Environmental Quality Review or required at the request of this board. And this board raised, absolutely understandable and serious concerns. We analyzed them not only historically, but at the site, all, above and beyond the requirements. And on behalf of the over 200 petitions for the school, I just ask, and I had asked the Land Use Subcommittee when we met last time, that there's been a long-range plan and interest to connect the upland section of Sunset Park to the waterfront. That work has already been initiated and started. And I believe, and it's on this corridor, 44th and 43rd Street, to provide a long-term connection to families and their children to the waterfront. This connection, 44th Street, was selected by DOT and with the community over a 5-year period to make this connection through the IBZ. And when you have a long-standing industrial zone as the IBZ, we want to respect that zone. We'd like to work with the IBZ. We'd like to work with interest groups. I believe we can create an even safer passage than has already been planned by DOT by improving the underpass under the underpass under 3rd Avenue. I believe we can make significant sidewalk improvements to the area. We can deploy human personnel at crossing guards, and the school has already indicated that they're willing to put staff on both sides of the Gowanus and at the subway connection to the site. We're going to provide a no standing zone in front of the school, and understand on one aspect, none of the sites on this street between 2nd and 3rd have been redeveloped or have had new industrial uses in many, many years. The buildings are old. They need to be retrofitted, and one way to retrofit them is for this school, and we believe it can be done in a safe manner. So I just ask that you consider that, and I'm here to answer any questions that the board members have at this time or at a later date. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I have Christina who next? Christina, you were.
Jeremy, you muted yourself.
Thank you very much. Christina, you were using an older version of Zoom and it's not allowing you to talk. I would invite you to put your comments in the Q&A.
Oh.
And Julio, other than Christina, I have no other hands up. Again, Christina, if you could hear me, I cannot get your Zoom to allow you to talk. You're using an older version of Zoom. Please put your comments in the Q&A.
Okay, thank you, Jeremy. So let's go to committee reports. Transportation Committee, there is a no vote required, and Zach is not here. I don't see him, but he said to go to the minutes and to look at the letters that were submitted for review. And I'm going to go a little out of order. Sanitation and Environmental Committee, there's no vote required. So I will refer folks to the minutes unless the chair of the committee is here and would like to have 30 seconds. And I'm not seeing a hand up. So I'm going to proceed. Okay. So let's go to Capital and Expense Committee, which will now be referred to the Finance Committee. There is a vote required. And the chair is not here.
John Garcia had an emergency and he isn't able to be here tonight. So Cesar asked me if I would give the report, if that's all right.
Sure. And I was at the meeting as well, so I can assist if needed.
And everybody should have gotten a handout, I believe yesterday. 2 handouts actually, both the capital and the expense what we sometimes refer to as our wish list. Ordinarily, we read all 40. I'm going to request that we read the top 10, and I will describe all the new ones. And if there are any questions on those or anything else, I'm happy to answer them. Julio, would that be all right?
That would be fine. Thank you.
Keeps going off. All right, so last Wednesday, which was the 13th, we had a public hearing followed by the last meeting of the Capital and Expense Committee. The Capital and Expense Committee listened to everything that happened at the public hearing and voted in support. So there is a motion from them of the matrix you should have in front of you. I am going to start with the capital budget priorities, the top 10. I will read them. And again, if there are any questions, please feel free. Priority 1, reconstruct 3rd Avenue from 17th Street to 65th Street to include all service roads with safer pedestrian crossings and improve lighting at every intersection. Priority 2, make all schools and facilities within schools 100% accessible to all student populations in new and rehabilitated schools. Priority 3, which is new, purchase fixed and portable equipment to allow Community Board 7 Brooklyn to hold blended meetings in the board and in locations around the district. Priority 4, which is also new, deck over the MTA property between 36th and 39th Street from 6th to 8th Avenue to provide space to build housing for those with low incomes and essential workers. Priority 5, which is also new, deck over the MTA property on 38th Street between 4th and 5th Avenues to provide space to build housing for those with low incomes and essential workers. Priority 6, full funding for Busch Terminal Park through Phase 2, including 100% accessible playground, environmental center, and Pier 5. Priority 7, which is new, add shelters and benches for every bus stop on the B63 route in CD7. Priority 8, which is new, EDC should provide free Wi-Fi access to all of CD7. Priority 9, rehabilitate lights beneath the Gowanus Expressway and add shorter streetlights to 3rd Avenue. Priority 10, replace sewer pipes in 1st Avenue from 39th through 58th Streets, which was cut out of the 2005 street rehabilitation. Green infrastructure should be included wherever feasible. So are there any questions from board members on those 10 priorities? I see Nick Azadian with a hand up.
Specific to number 4, the decking over the MTA yard on 36th Street. Did we think about what the estimate would be for that? Because, you know, the comparable platform for Hudson Yards was like $4 billion.
So this is a wish list. This is.
Got it. Okay.
Any of these are aspirational. And since it took 40 years to get a high school, I think this was more of a statement of our values than stating that we're expecting billions of dollars to come in for this. Hopefully
no
not.
problem. I got it.
Any other board members? So Julio, would you like to vote on this now, or would you like me to read the expense first?
To vote on all of the capital?
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. So can I entertain a motion to accept the capital budget priorities for fiscal year 2023?
There is a motion from the committee.
Oh, sorry. That's right. There is a motion from the committee. Is there?
Second.
Thank you. There's a second by Cynthia Gonzalez. Is there any discussion on the motion on the floor? To accept the capital budget priorities for fiscal year 2023.
I don't see any hands.
Okay. If there are no objections, I'd like to accept this with unanimous consent. Seeing none, it passes.
Okay, let me just take some notes here. Give me one moment. And I will start the expense. So I will do the same thing. I will read the top 10. If anybody has any questions or requires any additional explanation, please raise your hand. Priority 1, assign additional crossing guards throughout CD7. Priority 2, provide funding for additional daycare slots in CD7. Priority 3, increase and sustain increased truck enforcement in CD7. Priority 4, increase service on the B63 bus to ensure much more frequent service, particularly during school rush hours. Priority 5, which is new, fully fund all programs for all children who are eligible for specialized and related programs, including but not limited to students with special needs and multilingual learners in the district. Priority 6, increase funding for preventative protective services for children in CD7. Priority 7, allocate funds for additional training of school safety officers specifically serving District 75 students. Priority 8, provide vocational training, rehabilitation, and placement services for adults with disabilities. Priority 9, provide more frequent corner litter basket pickup in CD7. Priority 10, increase parks personnel budget for additional maintenance workers and recreation center workers. All right, are there any questions on the expense budget priorities? Julio, I don't see any hands up.
Thank you. So since this came out of committee, does not need to be we do not need a motion to introduce. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Cynthia Gonzalez. Thank you. Is there a discussion on the motion to adopt the fiscal year 2023 expense budget priorities? No discussion. Okay. If there are no objections to passing by unanimous consent, seeing and hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy, appreciate it. Great, give me 1 second. Let me just move back to my agenda. The last item, committee report, is land use and landmarks. Vote required, and I will turn it over to John Fontillas.
Hi, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. So the Land Use Committee on October 12th had a continuation of a public hearing and a Land Use Committee meeting for the BSA application 2021-30-BZ, seeker number 21-BSA-044K. It is a variance application to the Board of Standards and Appeals for the Brooklyn Rise Charter School to locate at 222 44th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenues in Brooklyn. The public hearing on October 12th was an extension of testimony that began on the June 7th meeting, where the Land Use Committee first took up this application. And we had asked the applicant at the June 7th meeting to come back with additional analysis and data regarding their search for sites within the Sunset Park District, which they did with and submitted additional further analysis that we'll talk about in a few minutes. I'd like to say up front that Brooklyn Rise School is an integral educational institution in the Sunset Park District that does serve the community and does provide inclusive learning in its small school situation with a preference for District 15 students. 70% of their current students live within the 11220 and 11232 zip codes. So they are regardless of what we're going to talk about today, a valued member of the community. And CB7, I think I can say, fully supports the academic mission of the school, and would wish it well at finding it a location within the district to continue its service. The applicant came back at the request of the Land Use Committee to describe the search for a location, which they had settled on as 222 44th Street. They showed multiple sites that they looked at, about 10 sites within the Sunset Park neighborhood. They also ranged up to Park Slope and Bay Ridge, trying to find about a 50,000 square foot parcel in which to locate their school, which I believe intends to grow to about 450 students with grades K through 8. And just Carrie, if you can just nod if that was correct. Just want to make sure that that's correct. Okay. So with that, as we all know, it's very difficult to find 10,000 square feet, let alone 50,000 square feet within our neighborhood. Our neighborhood is fully built out, especially in the areas where the students live in the residential districts above 3rd Avenue. And Brooklyn Rise was having a very difficult time trying to find sites within the district that were not only that would meet their program size and locational requirements, i.e. being local for students who are already attending the school and those who are thinking about attending the school, but that were also affordable for their program needs. So what Brooklyn Rise ended up with was they had selected a location at 222 44th Street, which is between 2nd and 3rd. This location is in an M1 zone. So the school is applying to BSA for variance to allow it to locate in this zone, and some additional heightened bulk variance requirements that aren't necessarily onerous. And as Richard mentioned earlier, they fully fall within the square footage count that would be allowed if the school were permitted in this area. A tweak of this is that school uses in manufacturing zones can be allowed if they're within 400 feet of a residential district by special permit. Unfortunately, this site is 490 feet from the closest residential district, so therefore the school is applying for variance through BSA, and that triggered the board review. The discussion that happened at our public hearing really focused on the suitability of a school within this industrial district. It is within the Southwest Brooklyn Industrial Business District, which we all understand as being something that Community Board 7 has supported for many years. In particular, our 197A plan preferences industrial uses in our waterfront area because of the jobs they provide for both local businesses and people who live in the district. However, the applicant note, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll just keep going. The applicant did note that there are 10 other existing schools located near the Gowanus Expressway, 3rd Avenue, in addition to other daycare facilities, parks, hospitals, and other community facilities. The site itself is a very mixed-use district with local retail uses, residential use on the backside on 45th Street, and there are very few motor or automotive repair shops nearby. The applicant commissioned traffic data collection for a span of time to review traffic counts, and the analysis of the pedestrian movements and observations showed very few conflicts with existing business operations, as indicated by curb cut activity, loading, unloading, and there did not seem to be any forklift activity or double parking occurring, which you would normally see in a very heavily used industrial area. And the through traffic counts were relatively low, as were the number of noisy trucks. I think the land use committee would agree that that the school would be a supportive use in the community. However, we have been on record supporting our industrial uses in this zone, mainly because it's one of the few zones left in the city where industrial uses can operate without the worry of dealing with adjacent uses that may be in conflict with them. And this came to a head with a discussion of how kids would get to the school. The school noted that many of their students are coming from 7th Avenue, 6th Avenue, 5th and 4th, which are all very busy streets. And as many of the schools in the waterfront district area along 3rd Avenue, many of those students are coming from long distances. The school offered to provide some pedestrian improvements along 44th Street at the intersection of 3rd Avenue, including additional sidewalks underneath the Gowanus, a pedestrian bulb out at the southwest corner of 44th and 3rd, and pedestrian curb ramps at the intersections to assist students from getting from across 3rd Avenue in particular. They did note that they would provide crossing guards at 44th Street as well as 45th Street to assist students across the busy avenue, in addition to incorporating flaggers and parents and staff to help usher kids into the school if they're dropped off on 44th Street. They would also stagger arrivals and departures to limit overall school traffic. And working with the owner of the building, they are also willing to make changes to the adjacent buildings to limit industrial traffic and curb cuts. The applicant came back and noted that a review of the floodplain data shows that the proposed school site is beyond the 100-year floodplain and just touches the 500-year floodplain. So effectively, it is not in the danger zone that we would expect in a future storm event. And the development team also reviewed 11 years of data from nearby air monitor survey stations that showed particulate counts for air quality are well below the World Health Organization and EPA standards. In sum, the school has met a lot of the requests for information that the committee had requested back in June. They have gone above and beyond the information that they would be required to provide to BSA. But at the end of the day, the board is faced with a question of does allowing a school here and the benefits of having that educational use for the entire community outweigh the concerns of traffic, impact the industrial district, as well as issues that arise from the increase in traffic and truck traffic within the area. The Land Use Committee had a very active discussion about this. And I think part of the problem we have is that it's not really the school's responsibility to fix truck traffic in the area. As we all know, we're suffering from a influx of last mile trucking facilities. The DOT doesn't help very well in managing the existing truck routes. It's not something that a school should solve. They are there to teach our kids. They're not there to manage truck traffic in the district. So essentially, we have a very difficult decision here of how to weigh the issues that are all very important to the board in terms of education with safety. We did hear testimony from a parent of one of the school kids who you actually heard during the earlier public testimony, Ann Renazzo. During the meeting, she did say she is confident in the school's proposal and believes the development team has looked at the safety of the kids very rigorously. And several board members were in full support of the school. Regardless of whether it was a charter school or not, I think there is a strong feeling that the school does provide education to community members in the district and should be applauded for that, especially when the need for seat capacity is so acute in Sunset Park. However, there was a representative from the Southwest Brooklyn Industrial Business District that noted that once these sites are taken out of the industrial district, there is a threat that additional sites may be turned into these uses that would further hamper the ability for industrial companies to work and operate within the waterfront district. The applicant did note that the current building and block have not been utilized in some time, that no major changes have occurred in the quarter to promote new industrial jobs. And it is likely that the building is not capable of housing new manufacturing jobs given its age and configuration. At the end of the day, I do want to note that the board is in receipt of 200 separate petitions in support of the school. And that is something that we take very seriously as part of our deliberation. The committee's motion was to approve the application. However, the vote by the committee did not carry that motion by a vote of 2 in favor and 4 against. So therefore, the Land Use Committee is not recommending approval of this school location application to the full board. And we can discuss any questions that the full board may have given the Land Use Committee's deliberations, as well as any questions that may be addressed to the applicant who is on the call as well.
Thank you, John. Very much appreciate it. Are there any questions from board members? Rovika?
Thanks, Julio. Can we hear from committee members who voted against, and just to hear a little bit about their reasoning? If any committee members are willing to speak.
Julio, I guess I would ask your determination on that as chair of this meeting, if that's allowable under rules of order.
Technically not, because questions need to be directed to the chair. I would just ask if there are any board members who, or I should say, if there are any committee members who are present at the meeting who feel comfortable sharing why they did not support sharing tonight, that they should feel free to share.
I can direct the question at John instead. I could just redirect the question.
Sure.
John, can you share with us a little, please, why, what was the reasoning that committee members gave for not supporting?
I think it all really revolves to the issue of safety for the students approaching the school, especially crossing 3rd Avenue in particular. I think there were several committee members that were very afraid that this is not something that we can, having one child hurt is one too many. And knowing the difficulties we're having with truck traffic along 3rd Avenue for a variety of different land use initiatives, as well as development initiatives that we all have been through those meetings in the past couple of years, there was no strong a thought that the safety of, in particular, these kids are not high school kids, they're younger kids, that safety can be guaranteed to the level that we would want to have to make this land use decision to locate the school in this district.
Thank you.
Jimmy Lee.
Hi, thanks, Julio. Yes, I just want to echo what John just said. You know, safety was the biggest concern for this proposal. This week, like 3 days ago, there was a one person got killed on 3rd Avenue and 60th Street. Safety is the biggest concern for this one, and hopefully, if they can find a alternative location, that'll be great.
If I could add to that, Julio, I mean, the real issue is that, the school has been very open to looking at alternatives and improvements to the pathway that students would take. They want to work with it. They stated very clearly they would love to work with the board to try and find an answer that would allow kids to move safely from their home down to the site. And essentially, one member did point out that a lot of kids are going from 7th Avenue to 4th Avenue to go to the high school and to the many schools, PS1, that are located already between 3rd and 4th, that this would be, one additional avenue block. And they want to try as much as possible to find a safe way for those kids to go that additional 800 feet down to their site. But in addition to the safety issue, there is also the concern that we have as a board been very clear that we prioritize industrial uses in this zone. And fortunately or unfortunately, this site is smack dab in the heart of that zone. And although, again, noting that the existing building has been vacant for some time and that there are no traditional hard manufacturing uses on that block, our previous land use deliberations have all focused on maintaining as much of the industrial district as possible.
Thank you, John. Catherine?
Yeah, I wanted to add a few points that came up in the discussion, and John said it, but there's been just a failure of the agencies, city agencies and state, to do anything about 3rd Avenue. And so just to make this point that we as a community board it's this project in front of us today that we're voting on, but we are thinking about the entire district and the entire community, and we understand the issues that we are facing. And so, right, it's this particular project today. I understand there's maybe another school that is going to be coming for another permit at a certain point soon. And just the responsibility that this board has, knowing all of the challenges and problems and failure of, again, massive issues for a very long time, that just putting a school down there, and the risks and concerns that we have to face. I also just want to say, I've said this in the land use meeting, but if there are projects that need variances, that need permits, it is prudent for these developers to come to the community board, understand what the issues are, understand the concerns that we have before looking for projects, before looking for locations, and understand the challenges that we're up against. In their presentation, I didn't hear any recognition of last mile facilities and trucking. That's because it's been totally not transparent at all in terms of what's happening. So again, our responsibility as a community board is thinking of the entire district, and then this particular project in that context.
Thank you, Catherine. John DeLuper?
Hey, okay. Thanks for calling me. John, I wanted to follow up on one of the points you mentioned. So you mentioned that the school is willing to fund some improvements for especially curb extensions, new curb ramps, and things like that. And I'm one of the 11,000 people who lives west of 3rd Avenue. Whether you have kids or not, having new crossings benefits you. So my question is, are the new crossings going to be the concrete protected ones like they have at 59th Street for that was put in for that new school? Or are they going to be like the paint ones like on 4th Avenue, which really aren't doing the job right now?
The school's planner, Kevin Williams, did show a couple of renderings that showed a full concrete sidewalk, basically directly underneath the Gowanus as the ends of the parking fields there. And it although I don't remember seeing bollards of any type there, I think the school would be amenable to looking at doing that if it would help the discussion, but they actively are looking at ways to provide a more safe crossing at 44th and 3rd to get kids across that distance from the upland corner to the waterfront corner.
All right, fantastic. Thank you.
And then I'll just also add, they are talking with the adjacent owner of, well, the owner of the building that they are proposing to move into also owns the building down towards 2nd Avenue. And that owner has agreed to remove the curb cuts so that any industrial use that may go in that area would not have access from the area adjacent to the school. So they have thought this through to try and do everything they can to make safe within their confines, and have proposed additional pedestrian improvements at 3rd Avenue and 2nd Avenue as much as they could.
Thanks again.
Karen Rolnick.
Hi, I'm not a committee member, but I was at the committee meeting and I heard all the testimony. And, with regards to the traffic, this is anecdotal, of course, but I can just say, go to both locations and stand in both the current and the proposed location. Their current location is, so far as traffic is concerned, very chaotic. Double and triple parking constantly with a lot of traffic. And the new location is much calmer. And they have offered to have crossing guards and so forth to make the children safe. Furthermore, this is already on a pathway that parents take all the time, going back and forth from Upland to the park. So there's already a lot of children in this area. I personally feel confident that this is a safe place for children. And, I am not a fan of charter schools, but this charter school is a not-for-profit charter school that is a very strong benefit to this neighborhood. It meets our needs. They focus on bilingual education and low-income kids, and it would be a shame to lose the school. So I strongly support it.
Thank you, Karen. Antoinette. Antoinette. Okay, we'll come back to Antoinette. David Estrada. David. Okay. I know Cesar wanted to say something, and I see also Cynthia Gonzalez's hand up. Go ahead, Cynthia.
I'm just wondering if Antoinette and David are having the problem that I have, is that I keep getting booted off, from the Zoom. So that might be what's happening with them. But I did attend the meeting, and I just wanted to say that my biggest concern was that, underneath the Gowanus, the cars park underneath there, and there's traffic going in and out, even in the areas between. It's not just crossing the street. If you get to cross the street and you have a bunch of kids waiting to get to the other light, and then, you know, cars are going in and out from underneath the highway. That was my biggest concern. That's all I wanted to say. I don't think it's safe.
Thank you, Cynthia. I'll circle back to Antoinette.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so I just have a couple of concerns. One is that my partner actually lives right across the street. Well, let me just backtrack really fast. So I was able to attend the first meeting where the proposal was made, and at that meeting, and I'm not sure if Javier Salamanca is on the call, but there were a number of folks from the community who are education advocates who expressed deep concerns about having the school located in an industrial zone. There are also concerns raised about the number of charter schools that currently exist in Sunset Park that may be looking to relocate into industrial zones because they may be getting too big for the spaces where they're currently at. So this is not only a consolidate, it's not just like a one-off issue, and we can't look at this piecemeal. I think that, and that was something that had come out of the board. This is something that we're going to have to look at holistically. And if we set precedent to have a school located in an industrial zone, then, you know, we have to look at what the effects of this is going to be long term. One of the sites, if you review the application that was submitted, you would see that one of the sites proposed is actually just blocks away from where the last mile trucking facility is looking to be built. So this is a really larger conversation that we as a board need to have about our industrial spaces and especially, you know, where space is appropriate for schools in Sunset Park. And then just something really quickly I want to add on to this is that my partner actually lives right across the street from from the proposed site on 44th between 2nd and 3rd. That block is actually named after his grandfather, who's been, you know, his family has been living there for decades. A lot of concerns about that because on that block, there's always huge trucks idling. There's not a lot of traffic on there. He actually came out to speak at the last meeting expressing concerns about having a school located at that site. Another concern are for residents who live on the other side of that block. So essentially the school would peer into their backyards. So there were concerns about that for the residents who live there. I think that this is a larger conversation and I understand the concerns and I know that the school is really, you know, for lack of a better word, desperate in looking for space. But I think we as a board really need to really understand you know, what it is that they're asking. We know our neighborhood. Just this weekend, there was a car crash where someone lost their lives on 60th Street and 3rd Avenue, and there's a school right there. I think that there's just too many. I don't know. I just think that this is a recipe for disaster. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Antoinette. David?
Thank you. I think it is important to note that the blocks there and adjacent are in fact mixed use. There is a substantial residential population west of 3rd Avenue, mostly in the 50s, but somewhat less so in the 40s. I have mixed feelings about this, but I'm going to support it. I do have concerns around three topics. Of course, first, safety for children getting across Third Avenue, but I think that's our work. Our work is to make, you know, the DOT to be held accountable for making Third Avenue navigable. You know, we have film studios and parks and other schools and a lot of other uses down there, and you know, so that's my primary concern. My secondary concern, of course, is erosion of the industrial base and the IBZ, the industrial business zone. I've always held that that should be preserved. It's irreplaceable. At the same time, much of the property west of Third Avenue has gone fallow and will not likely find viable, you know, lively industrial uses. And because our city has no planning and terrible zoning, all of these properties are vulnerable to becoming archery studios and offices and all of the things that you know, industrial zoning, M zone, allows west of Third Avenue that we've seen in so many other properties. So I just want to finish by saying again, I support their move with reservations about safety. I trust RISE. I trust that institution. They've been a strong presence on Fifth Avenue, where I work in my day job. I mourn their loss, you know, above, you know, the senior center and above Rite Aid there. They made a capital investment in Fifth Avenue. They've proven their commitment to Sunset Park. I think their choice of a location is a difficult one, even for that organization. But that they're making, you know, they're balancing a variety of factors. And I think the educational benefits outweigh some of the risks and concerns. I'd encourage everyone on the board as they vote to think about all the other uses we're allowing west of Third Avenue, and not to necessarily lump RISE in with other factors that we've worked on other topics. So I'm sorry that sounds qualified, but it is, because everybody who's raising concerns are raising valid concerns. But this school is important to Sunset Park. And this board is smart about school locations. You know, we have approved some schools west of Third Avenue for DOE. So I'd encourage you to give it good hard thought, and please vote in favor of this application. But everything that comes up after this should be taken under equally serious consideration. And it's not necessarily setting a precedent that it's just going to be a free-for-all west of Third Avenue. Thank you.
Nick Azadian.
So I attended all of the land use hearings, and I was a no vote on the application. And the primary reason for my no vote is safety. And not to rebuke David Estrada, whose opinion I value greatly, it's that bringing DOT to heel is an impossible task, as we've witnessed from our various DOT hearings, where we had to actually have someone sue them in order for them to actually show up to a hearing. So at the current state, the DOT is not doing anything that we're going to listen to or anything else. They're going to do whatever they're going to do, which means that the situation on Third Avenue is going to continue and persist and get worse, given the amount of truck traffic that we're expecting with the various industrial zones that are getting approved by EDC and other players. So regardless of the really deep concern about getting additional school space and allowing growth for the school, which is very important, I think we're just really tempting fate by encouraging additional traffic of small children going across Third, especially knowing when there's going to be additional traffic, a lot more additional traffic, and the school is tempted to grow, which will then increase the number of trips going across Third Avenue, regardless of the safety improvements. And, I have the unfortunate suspicion that if we do approve this, we'll probably be going to some kind of wake in the near future because of this. And I've been to enough of those already due to the same issues, which still are not corrected by any of the elected officials who have sworn up and down saying that they're going to do something about it.
In interest of time, I'd just like to take one more question from the chair, Cesar.
Thank you, Julio, and good evening, everyone. This one is a tough call. I attended the last meeting, I attended the first meeting, and I have been thinking about this since last week, since we met with the Land Use Committee. And it's really tough. And I think context matters. And so the context that I'm holding, that I'm sort of, I think that is important in how we make this decision, includes everything that everyone before I'm speaking has said. So, you know, the context of the lack of leadership and planning down on the waterfront, that's real. The fact that we have been pretty consistently on record doing everything we can to see a thriving industrial waterfront, that's real. The context that RISE is an exceptional institution in that they've done amazing work in the neighborhood and that we've supported them. We voted for their to support their application at the beginning, and that's real. The concerns that we have around safety and Third Avenue and last mile trucking facilities, that's also real, and that's context. And I think for me, what this really is about, what it's not about for me, and I know some of us have brought this up, is the debate about charter schools. This is not what this debate is about. And what it is about is a specific site. And to me, what it highlights, much like the Industry City conversation that we had, is the need for us to take on comprehensive planning. No one else has done it. I think it's probably the most appropriate context for us to do it. And so for me, that's really what's been on my mind is, you know, once we get through tonight, what's next? You know, whether the school succeeds or not in that space, what's next in terms of the bigger questions and the bigger picture for the waterfront? And so I'm really torn. And I imagine that a lot of you are torn. So I'm really going to ask you to dig deep, to really be thoughtful about how you want to vote on this one, because this one is tough. This one is not just as straightforward as other calls. Because we have a lot of really compelling factors on both sides of the conversation. In the end, for me personally, I want us to, I feel like it's important for us to be consistent in our support of the waterfront as an industrial working waterfront. I think our voice and our votes and our resolutions are at times aspirational, but at times really, I think, codify our values. And so for me, that's really what I'm looking at, because we need to do better around the waterfront. So I'm going to leave it there. And yeah, this is tough.
Thank you. I'd like to call the
Julio.
question. Sorry, who was that?
Julio, this is Alexa. Somehow I am in the meeting, but not reflected on the list, nor can I raise my hand. So
Oh,
I don't
and
understand technically why.
And I think you're in as Antoinette.
Okay, but she's also on, so that's
Yes.
possible. Okay.
Go ahead, Alexa. I'm sorry.
Apologies. No, that's okay. I was trying to figure it out, but it shows my technology weakness here. So thank you, and sorry for the confusion. I just, wanted to state for the record, I obviously agree with many of my colleagues that this for me is not an issue of charter school, but absolutely an issue about safety and our industrial waterfront, and a consistency and a commitment to maintain that waterfront for very particular use. Now, we know with the last mile trucking facilities. We know with development of Steiner Studios. We know with a growing footprint of EDC and other potential projects of that nature, right, are coming and are being developed on 3rd Avenue. We know that the truck traffic will significantly increase. So while that particular site may not have, may have been derelict in its use, we know that the impact surrounding will bring us increased truck traffic. I heard that the presentation was pointed out that somehow that site, their air quality seems to be much better than, I guess, the World Health Organization, which really feels inconsistent with what we hear about air quality pretty immediately around that site, that it is increasingly poor. I also have other significant questions about remediation of that site, as we know, given the industrial background, that there are significant pollutants both in the air but in the ground. So, you know, I think given what our colleagues have so thoughtfully put forward as a question of safety and commitment to an industrial waterfront and economic activity that is so important for the future of our community, I would vote no to this site.
Thank you, Alexa. I'd like to call the question. Can we go to the roll?
Julio, if I may, though, sorry, Jeremy, I just want to make sure everyone understands. The Land Use Committee did not approve this site application. So therefore, in terms of the vote, a yes by the full board, your vote tonight as a full board, a yes will affirm the Land Use Committee's disapproval. So in essence, the yes means no. If you vote no tonight, that means you are going against the Land Use Committee and would approve siting of the school at this location. I just want to make that clear because it's coming out of the Land Use Committee as a non-approval. You have to understand as a full board what you're voting on in terms of the committee recommendation.
So John, it's yes, I disapprove this location, and no, I approve the location. Would that be a way to simplify?
No, it's the exact opposite, Jeremy.
So please, once again, because I didn't understand it.
Because the committee did not approve the location, if you vote yes tonight, you are in sync with the Land Use Committee in not approving the site. So yes means no on the matter. Whereas vice versa, a no means that you do approve the site, going against the committee.
Thank you, John. I got it now. So Julio, there's a hand up. I don't know if that's a clarifying question or not.
Hennis, this is a clarified question on the motion.
No, I just had a comment. Yeah, I think, I think it's important for us to understand that this school, this nonprofit organization is a private entity. So it is a private school, even though it is a nonprofit organization. And they built this school knowing that they had no space where they're at. So they had no real care for the children that are there. They know they had no space for physical education and, therapy and all of the things that they mentioned that they don't have. And they were very conscious about that. So their motive have not been from the beginning the care of the children, have been, I am assuming, making money for the executive director of this nonprofit organization. So now they want to move to another location that is worse than the location that they are at. It says very, it doesn't, I mean, for me, it doesn't talk good about them, it just tells me how much they are moving in bad faith. And I think we should keep that in mind before we vote tonight.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify, yes, it's a nonprofit organization, but it is, they are public school students and it's not a private school. Just wanted to clarify that. If we can call the roll.
Thank
You're
you,
muted.
Julio. I'm going to mute everybody. Board members, when I call you, please unmute yourself, say what your vote is. I will acknowledge you and then mute yourself again. Ramon Acevedo. Sandra Alfonso. Grisel Amador.
I hang up my hand because I want to say
Sandra,
that the school
Giselle, this is
really
the vote.
care for the children.
No, we're in a vote.
I
We
have
can't do
problem
that.
with
Giselle,
my
this is the vote.
video.
Okay, so
But
we're
the school really care for the children. I am in the third floor and I see how excellent they are with the children. If they say that they don't care, that information is incorrect.
Grisel, what
And
is your
then
vote?
I say, no, I support the school.
Thank you. That's a no vote. Genesis Aquino.
My vote is no. I don't support the charter school. Sorry, yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Alexa Aviles.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Nicholas Azadian.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Joan Body.
No.
Thank you. That's a no vote. Stacy Boyd.
Sorry, I had problems with my mute. I vote no.
Thank you. That's a no vote. Gladys Bruno.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Jalixa Camposano.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Joseph Canali.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Justin Collins. John DeLuper.
No.
Thank you. That's a no vote. Beatrice DeSapio.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. David Estrada.
No.
Thank you. That's a no vote. Cynthia Felix.
I need to recuse myself. Conflict.
Okay, is that an abstention?
Yes.
Or
Abstention.
thank you for cause?
Yes.
Thank you. That's an abstention. John Fontillis.
No.
Thank you. That's a no vote. Kin Fung. Kin Fung.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. John Garcia. Anthony Gilio. Cynthia Gonzalez.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Hector Gonzalez.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Kenny Guan. Nicole Huang. Zachary Jacy. John Johnston.
No vote.
Thank you. That's a no vote. Beverly Kleinman.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Wyco.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Barbara Lee.
No.
Thank you. That's a no vote. Christina Lem. Jimmy,
Zachary Jacy's here.
Zach, what's your vote on this?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were going to call. I just jumped on, sorry. No,
Zach?
I'm voting present. I'm not sure what we're voting on. I'm sorry.
Present. Okay. Jimmy Lee.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Paul Mack.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Antoinette Martinez.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Arelis Martinez.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Marilyn Melman.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Dan Murphy. Dan Murphy. Gloria Rodriguez Novoa. Gloria Rodriguez
No.
Novoa.
No.
Thank you. That's a no vote. Julio Pena.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Rovika Rajkishan.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Karen Rolnick.
No.
Thank you. That's a no vote. Patricia Ruiz. Sam Sierra.
Safety first, yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Brian Slater. Folks, please remember to mute yourself if you're not speaking. Brian Slater.
That can never happen again.
Victor Swinton.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Cindy Vanden Bosch.
Feeling torn, but due to industrial retention, yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Catherine Walsh.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Fred Wolf.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Cesar Zuniga.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Zach, you voted present. Have you reconsidered? Not hearing him, so I will mark it present.
Can we also go back to Sandra Alfonso? She tried to unmute herself earlier.
Sandra Alfonso.
Yes. Thank you for coming back to me.
Thank you. That's a yes vote. Folks, if we missed your vote, please raise your hand like Sandra did. I don't believe we missed anybody else.
I'll reconsider my vote. I'm going to vote no. This is Zach.
Thank you, Zach. That's a no vote. The vote is 26 in favor of the motion, 11 opposed, 1 abstention for cause.
Thank you, Jeremy. And thank you, John. Very much appreciate it.
Just to make sure everyone understands so the board has approved or has affirmed the committee's non-approval of the application.
Yes,
Thank
the motion carries.
Yes, the committee's motion carries. Before we move on to the next item, I'd like to acknowledge Assembly Member Carroll. I appreciate your patience while we went through the motion that was on the floor. I'm not sure if he's still here. I can't see.
I am Julio.
Thank you.
Well, good evening, Community Board 7, and thank you for giving me a few moments. I will be quick because I know you have a packed agenda. I just wanted to say hello again this evening. I also wanted to inform everyone of a few events that my office is having that I thought folks would be interested in. On Friday, October 29th, the MTA Metro Card van, which provides half-price Metro cards for folks over 65 years of age, will be in front of my office in Park Slope. That's on 7th Avenue between 13th and 14th Street. They'll be there from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. The next Friday, we will be having flu shots at Holy Names Shepherd's Hall in Windsor Terrace on Prospect Park West between Prospect Avenue and Windsor Place. And that will be from, if you give me a moment, that will be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You must call my office to schedule a flu shot, and my telephone number is 718-788-7221. We only have 100 flu shots. There will also be at that same time a possibility to get a COVID-19 vaccine if you otherwise don't have one. I don't believe we'll be providing boosters. And then the following Friday, November 12th, outside of my office, we will be providing no-cost mammograms for folks who are over 40 years of age and otherwise could not get a mammogram. You need to, again, call my office to schedule an appointment. That's from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. During all of these events, we will also be providing free COVID-19 testing. So if you're worried that you may have COVID-19 on any of those next 3 Fridays, you can also come and get a COVID-19 test. Very quickly, I forget if I told you all this last month, we did extend the eviction moratorium and the foreclosure moratorium for both small businesses, renters, and homeowners until January 15th. It is so important to make sure that we get our way out of this COVID-19 crisis. I know that there's still a lot of trepidation and anxiety around COVID-19. If your son or daughter's school, there's an issue, please feel free to reach out to my office. Luckily, we have not had too many outbreaks in schools in our area. And as always, if there's anything else going on in Community Board 7 or adjacent to my district or in my district, but not Community Board 7, always feel free to reach out to me and my office. Again, my telephone number is 718-788-7221. I know you guys have a big agenda. Don't want to take up any more time. If there's a pressing question, I'd love to try to answer it. Otherwise, I'm done.
Thank you, Assembly Member. Do we have any questions from board members? Seeing and hearing none. Thank you, Assembly Member Carroll.
Great, thank you. Please remember to vote. Early voting starts Saturday, and there are 5 constitutional amendments on the back of your ballot. Please read those carefully and vote accordingly. Have a great night.
Thank you. Good night. The next item on the agenda, we made a quick amendment, is to, hopefully it'll be a very quick one. If you noticed from the expense priorities, we added a universal after-school programming in the CD7 district. Earlier this summer, we received a letter from Voces Ciudadanas, which was to support their petition to the Department of Education and DYCD to support universal after-school programming in the Sunset Park community. We like to sign on and support this letter and petition to support after-school programming, and we like to bring it to the full board to get their support to support after-school programming. We believe it's something that it is great for our after-school programming. It's for Compass, which is comprehensive after-school. That's the name of Compass, comprehensive after-school programming, and Sonic, which stands for Schools Out NYC, elementary and middle school programming. And we like to sign on to the letter. It essentially, it would just be a motion to support the letter. If folks like, I can also share it in the share screen, but it's essentially just a letter to provide after-school programming in all of the elementary middle school programs in the Sunset Park community.
I second the motion. Joan seconds the motion.
Thank you. And just to note, I will need to recuse myself from the vote because I work for a DYCD funded organization. Are there any objections to supporting the universal after-school programming in the Sunset Park community?
No.
Just noting, one, I will be voting present. Okay. Vote
I have
passes
nothing noted,
unanimously.
Julio.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So we can move on to the second roll call of the evening.
Okay, I will be calling the board members that weren't present before. Unmute yourself, say present, and then mute yourself once again. Thank you. Ramon Acevedo. Alexa Aviles.
Presente.
Thank you. Julixa Campusano.
Present.
Thank you. Justin Collins. John Fontillis.
Here.
Thank you. John Garcia. Anthony Giglio. Kenny Guan. Nicole Huang.
Here.
Thank you. Zach Jacey.
Here.
Thank you. Waco.
Yeah.
Thank you. Antoinette Martinez.
Present.
Thank you. Aurelis Martinez. Present. Thank you. Patricia Ruiz. Sam Sierra.
Present.
Thank you. Brian Slater. And Cesar Zuniga.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Second roll
Maria.
call is done.
Thank you so much. Can move on to elected officials and representatives.
Natasha's handling this part. Natasha?
Okay, I'm here. Can you hear me?
You sure can.
Okay, I'd like to call on John Watkins from the District Attorney's Office, if he's still here. Please unmute yourself so you can speak.
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. I'll be short, but John Watkins from the Brooklyn DA's office. And just very quickly, as I always mention, please go to our website, brooklynda.org. I've noticed this evening there's been a lot of commentary about street safety, and indeed the DA's office has in the process of really investigating and prosecuting offenders who are literally running over our citizens in the community, as noted about the unfortunate person on 60th Street. And so street safety is, along with gun safety and family violence and so forth, is of top concerns to the DA's office in Brooklyn. Please know that, and know that DA Gonzalez and his team are really very, very serious about addressing this issue. It seems to be increasing day by day. I am constantly hearing about bike riders and pedestrians being run over on the streets in Brooklyn, as well as throughout the city, and then people speeding off because they're either driving on the wrong side of the road, or et cetera. So basically, that's all that I have right now, except for just a couple of weeks ago, the area right outside of the DA's office at 350 J Street, part of it was named for the former DA, actually who hired me, DA Ken Thompson. That has, in his honor, now been named District Attorney Ken Thompson Way. So when you walk by that area, you can look up, you'll see his name on the street sign there. That's all I have for this evening. I look forward to seeing you all next month. And in the meantime, stay safe. Take care. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, John. And next I have Jenny Zhang from Assemblymember Marcelo Batanis' office. Jenny, please unmute yourself if you're still here.
I don't see her in the.
Okay. All right. Next I have is Freda Zarita from Senator Myri's office. Please unmute yourself if you're still here.
Hi, everyone. My updates are pretty brief. As the Assembly member had mentioned, citywide general elections are right around the corner. Early voting begins on October 23rd and runs until October 31st. There's a couple of amendments that you can vote on. So just make sure, if you haven't already, that you had requested your absentee ballot for those who are going to be casting their votes that way. And then lastly, we're going to be having a couple of Thanksgiving events throughout the district. The actual dates are to be determined, but we will be having one in Sunset Park, I believe, at NYU Lane Zone. So as soon as the flyers are ready and the logistics for that are set up, I will send that over so that we can share that with our networks. That's it. Thank you so much.
Jeremy, that's Julio, that's all I have for my elected official list. I have nobody I see on the attendees that represent an elected official. If we missed you, can you please raise your hand and we'll call on you?
I don't see any hands raised.
Okay.
Thank you. Now we can go on to the district manager's report.
Thank you, Julio. I'm surprised we've gotten through this long of a meeting without anybody bringing up 20th Street, which about 10 days ago, DOT turned into a one-way street. The community board got a full 14 hours notice of their construction, and they only responded to us after constituents started to call us saying, hey, we see construction workers on the block. So DOT moved forward with that without following the law as to informing the community boards, or we learned the elected officials had one additional hour from us. So the elected officials even only got 15 hours. As you know from our previous meeting, the community board was not given a vote on the 20th Street. However, we did send a letter stating all of our constituents' concerns and those who supported, and we said there were things in the plan that we liked as well, but we didn't think it was a complete plan, because particularly for many reasons, but particularly because there was no plan for eastbound truck traffic. And not surprisingly, we are getting complaints from 19th Street and 23rd Street about oversized trucks traveling up and then not being able to navigate those streets. And DOT did respond to our letter 40 minutes after they informed us that they were moving forward with construction, and they suggested that trucks will travel on 3rd Avenue, previously mentioned many times tonight, the most dangerous corridor in our community, and then turn on 39th Street and go up 39th Street in an environmental justice community. So again, I don't believe this is a complete plan, and we've been getting reports of DOT not following through on certain things, such as having last weekend, there were no traffic safety officers. So people were continuing to use 20th Street as a two-way street, but it was no longer a two-way street. And we've also gotten reports of damage to private vehicles and people using cones now around their parking spaces. So it seems to be a mess, and a predictable mess. Getting to some of the concerns that some of our board members had from last month, I met regarding Cindy Vandenbosch's concern about the Naval Guard Memorial. I met with the Brooklyn Borough Commissioner for Sanitation, as well as the garage superintendent I showed them the photos that Cindy had showed me, and they've committed to keeping their storage away from the memorial and to keep the area clean. And hopefully we can help find a better, more prominent spot for that memorial. Regarding Antoinette Martinez had brought up street renamings and folks who had gotten in touch with us earlier in the year and last year. I have gone back on our records and I looked in my files. I have found two folks who had requested potential renamings. I thought there were three, so there may be one other I have to continue to look for. But I will be speaking to Zach about how to reach out to those folks. And then also, Catherine Walsh brought up the hours at Busch Terminal Park. I spoke to the regional park manager, Denise Palmer, who let me know the hours at Busch Terminal Park are actually, the closing time is 11 p.m., which is later than I had thought it was. I asked her to remind their employees about keeping access to the 50th Street entrance open until closing. So they had been closing it early. We've asked for that to remain until the park is actually closed. Curbside composting is back in Community District 7, but it's on a voluntary basis now. And folks have to sign up through Sanitation's website. If you're interested, I'd be more than happy to share that link. In fact, we will send that link out to everybody on our list by the end of the week. But the community needs to reach a critical mass of folks who are curbside recycling for us to be able to get a truck to do it. So we want to have as many people sign up as possible. So again, if you're interested, we're going to send you a link, and anybody who you might think is interested, please share that. Last week, our Sanitation and Environment Committee met with residents of 3 different areas who have been complaining about chronic flooding. In addition to meeting with DEP, which they did at that meeting, I'm working with them as well. Separately, I have a meeting with folks on Kermit Place to discuss their next steps, what their next strategy should be. I'm meeting with the folks on 37th Street with MTA to tour the drainage of the MTA parking lot. And I have encouraged the folks on 32nd Street to organize and to collect the stories that they have about the flooding in their areas. Also, as directed by DEP at the meeting, I've reached out to DDC to find out the approved bioswale and permeable pavement sites in Windsor Terrace. So far, I have not received a response on that. Liquor license applications in the past month, there are 17 available for anybody who wants to review them in the office. Police department statistics have been emailed to everybody, and let me wish everybody a very, very happy basketball season.
Thank you, Jeremy. I see we have a question on your report from Catherine Walsh.
Hi, Jeremy. I wanted to just ask you about Busch Terminal and their open hours. So there's a sign up on the 44th Street entrance. Am I getting that right?
I think it's 43rd.
43rd, that has hours that close at 5. And it's like, it says like, I mean, I have it somewhere on my phone, but has the seasons and then has different hours. But what I'm hearing you say is you were told it closes at 11.
Yes, as she actually said at 1. I said, really? At 1 o'clock? And then she corrected herself to 11. I said, is you're really telling me 11? And she said 11. So I don't believe that we have the lighting yet. So I can't believe it's 11. But that is what I was told twice in a public meeting.
Okay, they're definitely not even keeping it open past 5.
But I will
Okay.
go beyond the regional parks manager and speak to the commissioner.
Okay. And then another thing that I have raised in the past is the giant sinkhole that continues to get bigger and bigger that has been there for several years. And again, I think folks know this, but EDC controls the infrastructure, parks just does the maintenance. And so EDC, EDC has said that funding was secured and they were supposed to start the repairs, and there was COVID and there was delays, but now there's been an error in the way the funds are allocated. And so they're not able to access money to do what they're supposed to do. This hole just keeps getting bigger. I mean, honestly, after like the Hurricane Ida. So I just wanted to know, Jeremy, have you heard anything else about when the heck they're going to start working on this?
No, I have not.
Okay. So EDC, again, is responsible for the infrastructure of this park and continues to not advance that.
We have a question from Nick Azadian.
Two things, Jeremy. In terms of flooding, any of the folks that are basically having to pay repeatedly whenever the sewer system backs up into their property, is the city liable for that because they've refused to do maintenance?
So I'm not an attorney. I could not tell you that. I'm actually trying to get something in writing from MTA about their lot and all of the muck that they cleaned out of 4 feet worth of muck that they cleaned out of their drain. So I'm trying to get that in writing.
The second question I have is that there are other issues in Busch Terminal Park along some of the asphalt piers. There's getting to be rather significant subsidence and causing the asphalt to erode away as well. So that would be something else to add to the list on top of the major sinkhole that we have.
So I think this goes back to what Katie was saying and what we've been talking about in this board for years, which this park is a stepchild of the city system because one agency, a quasi-governmental agency, owns it, and the other does the maintenance and needs funding from the other agency in order to do it. I think this has been part of our discussion about the playground that EDC is forcing Steiner to plan for. And there will be a meeting on that at some time in the future when Steiner has to come back to us.
And finally, in terms of the DOT, is it going to take a lawsuit for them to actually follow through with any of the items that they promise? And secondly, is the district attorney, who's the attorney of the people, willing to take something like that on? And if the district attorney is still, or his representative is still on this call, perhaps they could comment on that.
So the community board is part of the city and cannot sue the city, so we certainly could not. We are 2.5 months less away from another administration. Perhaps a discussion with that administration would prove they would be more amenable.
Antoinette?
Jeremy, just a quick question. Can you confirm when the next EDC task force meeting or Sunset Park task force meeting will be held?
I'm not aware of it being on the schedule yet.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, thanks. Sorry, and I was muted myself. Paul Mack?
Hi, good evening. You mentioned about the fact that with the DOT proposal for 7th and 8th Avenue, you mentioned that the Brooklyn Commissioner promised that they will get back to you before they start the project. I just want to clarify that.
No, I mentioned that about 20th Street, and they scheduled the project. They gave me 14 hours notice of the construction, and they gave me 13 hours and 20 minutes before that when they responded. With regard to 7th and 8th Avenue, which was the email exchange you and I had earlier today, the Borough Commissioner Bray at that meeting said he would get back to the 3 community boards before construction began. We have that on our YouTube site.
So does it mean that we are safe at this point until we receive the confirmation from them?
I make no promises for the administration.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, thank you, Jeremy. I will be tabling the chairperson's report just to say, but I will just say, it said before, early voting starts Saturday. You have 10 days of early voting, and just please make sure to flip your ballot because we're voting on 5 constitutional amendments. For information on the ballot, on the amendment, you can go to voting.nyc. And so moving on to old business. Seeing no old business, moving on to new business. Catherine Walsh.
Hi, I just want to do a plug for the meeting on Monday, committee meeting for the special subcommittee on last mile trucking facilities. The committee members who are on it know that they're on it. For anyone else, if you'd like to join, we'll have a couple of presentations and it's Monday at 6. Hope you can come. Thanks.
Thank you. Karen Rolnick.
Jeremy, is there a way I can share my screen? Just to show, I want to show something.
Yeah, give me 1 second, Karen.
Okay, well, while you're doing that, let me just mention that the Committee for Homelessness Issues is an ad hoc committee that has run its course, but there are a few issues that I just want to present to the board.
You can share your screen now.
Okay, thanks. The first one is that all permanent homeless shelters are required by law to have community advisory groups that meet generally once a month, usually in the evening and lately via Zoom. And that the Wynn Family Shelter in our district on 16th Street and 4th Avenue is ready to start theirs up. And they're looking for someone from our community who can represent the community at these meetings. If anyone is interested in being that person who lives in the area, please send that information to Jeremy and we will, with your reasons for wanting to do it, and we will forward it to the necessary people.
Karen, you haven't shared your screen yet, so I just wanted to make sure if you're trying.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna do that right
at the
now.
bottom.
Share screen. I'm gonna share the screen. Okay, what you should be seeing now is, hopefully you can see my screen.
We don't see it, Karen.
You don't see it? How about that?
Not yet. Oh, there it goes. It's starting.
Okay, so this is just something I want to bring to the board's attention. This is a picture of our presumed next mayor announcing that he's going to be using abandoned hotels. And in this picture, he's shown outside a hotel in our district on 39th Street in Sunset Park that he wants to convert permanently to permanent homeless shelters. This has been an ongoing frustration and for our community. We have an overabundance of seedy hotels that are likely to become abandoned, which means we are likely to get hit with an overabundance of these. And while we're happy to house homeless people, and we've even welcomed homeless shelters in our district, I think we really want to think as a group as how we want to respond to his plan and work with him so that we are not inundated with homeless shelters. And I just want to put that out there. I can stop sharing my screen now, I think. I don't know how to stop sharing my screen. I'll stop share.
Thank you, Karen. Barbara Lee.
Hi, Karen. I want to ask, are there any other hotels that are participating in these committees? Because we are really having a lot of problems with the 24th Street Hotel and the Brooklyn Way Hotel. I've been trying to talk to people about it, Nobody wants to have any accountability about all the things. And actually, just last week, some homeless people had broken into the bagel shop. They tossed something through the glass door and broke it and broke into there. So we're having like a massive problem. So I understand. I wish the mayor would come to our community board and explain his permanent housing program to us. Thank you.
Yeah, this continues to be an ongoing problem. The temporary shelters in the hotels are not really well run, frankly, and it continues to be an ongoing problem. Where we all admit that homeless people need to be housed, and we're fine with housing them here, but they have to be supervised and well organized. And now our incoming mayor, who will probably be our incoming mayor, is going to make new ones that are going to be permanent. So I think that somehow our community board needs to find a response to work with the next administration on controlling this issue.
Thank you, Karen. Paul Mack.
Yeah, well, on the subject, I just want to bring to everybody's attention, 8th Avenue is also getting a new homeless shelter, 121 unit. It's going to take place on 8th Avenue, 65th. Even though it's within the CB10 district, however, I think the community will be negatively impacted. Accordingly, they anticipate to have it in operation by the winter of 2022, so it would be by the end of next year. So I guess something that our community is very concerned of, and hope to work with you guys to make sure that we get the best out of the situation.
John DeLuper.
I was actually going to ask about the same shelter that Paul just mentioned. Correct me if I'm wrong, that's right at the border. Does that mean that we get informed as well the way that they do? Like I understand there's some kind of process
That's
for that?
3 blocks out of the district. So we do not get, if it was on our border, we would get informed.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Catherine Walsh.
Sorry. Two things. I know that the Public Safety Committee meeting was supposed to be on Monday, and I think it's being rescheduled to a later date. In that meeting, I was going to ask if anyone was aware of the bank, like what the bank on 54th and 54th on 5th is closing, the Chase, and then the other bank down on 51st and 4th was held up again. There was like a paper slipped, and I don't know. I just wanted to know if anyone knew anything about this, because I think this is the second time that they've been hit recently. So I was going to ask that in the public safety meeting, but maybe someone knows here. And then, sorry, I'm just going to jump to something else Antoinette asked. The Sunset Park Task Force is looking for people to join, and they are meeting again. I'm not on it, but I just went as a member of the public. It's the tentative meeting. I can find a way to drop it in the chat. I don't know the link to the public website. This is not posted there, but in some email it says December 16th from 10 to noon is when they're tentatively scheduled to have the next one. December 16th, 10 to 12. The reason I think this is interesting is the last meeting in September that I participated as a member of the public, they were talking about the development of a fund by way of this, like the Equinor offshore wind project, and some like financial fund being set up and going towards the community, and what would that look like? So I would really highly recommend that community board members and the public get involved and go to this meeting to understand and have transparency around this fund that is being developed that is meant to benefit the community, and who the decision makers are. Because as far as I understand, otherwise it would be left to EDC to decide how this money could potentially be set up and allocated. And there really should be a public process. But I'll leave it there. Thanks.
Cindy Vandenbosch.
Yeah, I just, we are still pinning down the date, but I wanted to make everyone aware that there will be an ability and access meeting prior to our next monthly meeting. And I raised this for those of you that may not be familiar with the committee We focus on issues related to accessibility for people with disabilities in our district at public and private facilities. So please tell your friends, keep your eyes peeled, and we'd love to see people turn out and engage and support that as we put together our priorities as a committee, especially with the new mayoral administration coming in. Thanks so much.
Cynthia Gonzalez. Cynthia, there you go.
Yeah, I had to unmute myself because I keep forgetting. But, you know, regarding the homeless shelter becoming permanent, I'm not sure that I understood if it was explained what the process is in making them permanent.
The article I was referring to didn't really go into all those many details, but I can send you the link. And you know, it's one of those, this is an awkward time because we're in between administrations. So this is being proposed by the mayor who hasn't even been elected yet. But I just really think that we want to be aware of, I urge you to read the articles. I can resend the links to everyone, and be aware of what Eric Adams is proposing. And this is going to really impact our neighborhood. And I think we need to respond. And, you know, the homelessness committee is no longer, but we need to find a group of people who can respond.
Okay, but Karen, my understanding was that these shelters are privately owned, right? So I think these are not city shelters. These are privately owned shelters in our community where these owners get what, you know, renters to property don't get, you know, on a monthly basis.
I'm not sure I fully understand it, but my understanding is that the city, like they hire charities to run the shelters for them. So
no, because these in our community, they're privately owned shelters.
Well, then why is the mayor
charities?
of New
These are
York-
not for profits. These are businesses. They built these structures in our communities as hotels, because I remember that more than 10 years ago, as a board member, I informed the community board. I said, oh yes, who's gonna come to Sunset Park? How much need is there to have this many hotels in our community? These are going to be homeless shelters. I said it back then, but they're privately owned. These are not charities.
I'm sorry, are you asking whether the hotel properties are private or public property right now?
No, I'm not asking that. I know that they're private properties. My question is, what is the process in making them permanent? Because, you know, these were supposed to be like emergency shelters. And now all of a sudden, you know, instead of housing the homeless, they're going to make these permanent, you know, homes for the homeless. This is ridiculous.
That's the upcoming proposal.
Yeah, and I would also, sorry, I don't mean to interject. This is new business, and I would ask that if this is turning into a conversation, and I would refer to a committee and or a deeper conversation, because this is also just a proposal from someone like Karen suggested. It has not even been elected yet into an upcoming administration. And it does warrant a much greater conversation, and it is of great concern.
I would love to see the housing committee take this on, because, you know, this is a housing issue, whether it's for the homeless or whatever. You know, the housing committee should go in with the homeless committee and have a joint meeting on what can we do, because this is absurd. This is absurd.
Thank you. I see David Estrada.
Hi, just a couple points of information to earlier comments. The Chase Bank facility at 54th Street did send out letters about a month ago that they will be closing somewhere around December 16th. The Chase Bank facility that's on 4th Avenue near 52nd, am I correct? 53rd will remain. There's no indication of what the disposition of that space is on the ground floor yet. So that'll be on the market. Popular Bank, Banco Popular, longtime presence on the avenue, did give up their space below the United Senior Center there by Rite Aid, but they took up the space that was abandoned by Amalgamated Bank. So although Amalgamated Bank has left our neighborhood and moved towards online banking, Banco Popular has remained committed to having a physical presence with a street-facing ATM there at 45th Street. That's it. Just wanted to give you an update on some Fifth Avenue properties.
Thank you. Cynthia Felix.
Hi, thank you. Katie, so we did ask Captain Castro about that. Unfortunately, he was unable to make the meeting. So that's why we had to cancel the public safety meeting, but we are hopeful that we will be meeting with them within the next month. And Cynthia Gonzalez, I did ask about the e-bikes and the scooters and all those questions that you had. And Officer Gerber replied, and he said that they are doing education. He did send a pamphlet that has the differences in the types of scooters and e-bikes, which ones are legal, which ones are not. And I will ask Jeremy to send it out to all the board members, so you just have it as informational. But they said they are trying their very best to do enforcement of that. But hopefully they will attend the next meeting and we will be able to ask them questions directly, because these are real concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Jimmy Lee.
Thank you, Julio. I just want to say, yes, we need a deeper conversation on homeless shelter issue, because, housing is a human right. City needs to invest long-term solution to provide permanent housing for those, people in the system, because city has spent billions of dollars every year, but this problem never goes away, because, just like DOT, a lot of time, they need to listen more voice from the community, because a lot of time, they didn't do it very smartly. So hopefully, we need to have a deeper conversation and to work on the long-term solution that will provide, these people in the system to have a permanent housing, because housing is a human right, and it's a shame that the city spends so much money on it, but this problem just, never been fixed. Thank you.
Barbara?
I don't think that the homeless of the ad hoc committee should be discontinued, because we didn't even do anything except for make a few pamphlets and gave them out to the shelters, which is fine, because we're supposed to be there to help people who are in need. But the problems of the people in the community who've been living there for a long time has not been addressed, and it needs to be addressed. I'm sorry for being so heated about this, but you're not living in my apartment where 2 o'clock in the morning, everybody's hating like a la 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 la, and I have to get up 6 o'clock in the morning trying to go to work, but I can't sleep. And the people go up and down the block, and people coming up to my face telling me that I need to move if I don't like what's going on my block. So, something has to be done. I'm trying to work with people. I used to be homeless too. I know people need housing, but I don't need to be disrespected in my own house, okay? Thank you.
Yeah.
Karen?
Yeah, I know this isn't supposed to be a discussion, but I just wanted to respond. This is a mammoth issue. Just for the record, we've had countless meetings, we've had town halls, we've been responding. It's a 7-person committee. I no longer have a chair, and I can no longer do this. So far as I understand, there is no more homelessness committee. This has to be taken on by that housing committee, possibly. It's a housing issue. It's a huge issue, and that is why I proposed in our budget proposal that we deck over the property on the transit authority, because it's a huge problem that's going to require huge out of the box thinking. And I won't take up any more people's time, but I just wanted to respond.
Thank you. And Cynthia Gonzalez.
Yes, I just wanted to reiterate Jimmy Lee's comment about that housing is a human right, and that is a fact. But this city, you know, for decades has given, you know, tax credits for developers to build luxury housing all over the place. The other day I was reading a newspaper article that said that a $2 million luxury apartments, you know, annual property taxes was $158. Now, come on. Anybody that owns a home would be insulted to hear something like that. When a person that has a $2 million property can only pay $158 and the city doesn't have the money to house the 68,000 and more homeless people. This should spark a revolution. This has to be something that, you know, every citizen of New York City should just be up in arms about. So I am going to be, you know, looking forward to the housing committee, the homeless committee, whoever it is, because I feel that the more voices added to this problem, because the problem does not go away, but it doesn't go away because the money doesn't go to the people in need. It always goes to the 1%. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. And I'll just ask, if your hand is not raised for a new business item on the agenda, I'd like to just move on to public comment. Jimmy Lee.
Oh, sorry. I just want to say thank you, Cynthia. You know, yes, we need to have a revolution on this, you know, and if we are not able to solve this homeless crisis, we learn from other city in other country how they manage it, you know, use property fund to build affordable housing for people to own the house instead of pushing people out this, you know, house. So, you know, yeah, 1% always win, you know, and this city, like, you know, a lot of politicians said, has money. We spend billions of dollars every year. Where did money go? Well, how come we still have so many homeless people? I think that's a deeper conversation we need to have. You know, I'm looking forward to, you know, to work on this issue. Thank you.
Antoinette.
Hi, so I actually wanted to give a housing committee update. Sorry, give me 1 second. My dad's parrot is making noise. Okay, sorry about that. So for the housing committee update, just wanted to touch base with everyone to let you know that the Fifth Avenue Committee, or FACT, has not yet confirmed when the application for the Sunset Park Library housing project on 51st Street and 4th Avenue will be made available. And Michelle De La Uz, that's the executive director of FACT, had mentioned in September that there were delays due to city and state approval of their application. And they said that they'll be reaching out to the community board to confirm exactly when the application will be made available, but we have not yet heard back. So we'll make sure to circle back to the Fifth Avenue Committee just to get more of an understanding of where they are in the application process. Also, just want to let folks know that I'm going to be reaching out to schedule a housing committee meeting before the next board meeting. And then I know that there is conversation now happening with, you know, regards to shelters and homelessness. And I mean, I would be interested in having a larger conversation to see if it would be appropriate to have the ad hoc committee for homelessness reinstated. I'm not exactly sure why it was disbanded, but I do think that it is it is a huge issue, and it may make sense to have it have a dedicated committee for it. Also, I just had one quick question for Jeremy. Just wanted to follow up to confirm if the letter of support for the ACS boarding home, if that was sent over.
Yes, it was.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. And that's all I have.
Thank you. And public comment. If there are members of the public present, you can move on to public comment. You can raise your hand.
I see 2 hands up so far. Do you want me to call them, Julio?
Yes, please. Thank you, Jeremy.
No problem. I have Joey Zhang.
Hi, my name is Joy. I live in Sunset Park. Thank you guys using your own time to discuss our community things to help you, make our community better. Which is today I joined guys meeting because last week Friday, and I have a 13 years old boy hit by car, have a car accident. So someone call 911. So ambulance car coming, fire department car coming in. The incident happened between 6th Avenue, 45th Street. So, you guys know in the Sunset Park, 6th Avenue between 44 to 45 is no traffic light. But which is a lot of kids go to Sunset Park. We have 2 streets, very, very dangerous, but which is no traffic light. And the incident happened, ambulance car coming, but no police car coming. No police take a report. And I was my friend to waiting and calling, and they saying you need to make a 911 again because they and that day in the last Friday they do not have any call report. So I just wonder how, as a resident in this immigrant neighborhood, how to hold police officer accountable. The 13 years old, the boy hit by car on the floor. Ambulance car coming, no policeman coming. And we tried to get a report from policeman. We waiting for 3 days, and they saying, "Oh, sorry, your report not ready yet." So let us go home, and then you need to waiting maybe 1 day or 2 days. But my friend, they saying today to go to pick up the report, but still not ready yet. So I just wonder, can you guys, as a board leader, can you guys we have a transportation committee, right? Can you guys have a proposal to get 45 and 44th Street, 6th Avenue, they have a traffic light. There's a lot of, especially Halloween is coming, a lot of kids going on the street, a lot of traffic lights, disaster, very frustrating for this neighborhood.
So Joey, I would invite you to call the community board tomorrow. I'd be more than happy to speak to you about that. Could I give you the phone number?
Of course. Hold on 1 second. Let me get my pen. Okay. Thank you. I try to, someone can help me to get a police report.
I'll try to help you on both those aspects.
And Richard, you guys know the 40 in the 6th Avenue, 45 and 44 is no traffic light, right? And very, very close to the park. It's quite very dangerous for our kids.
I am aware there are no lights there. I know 45th is an always stop, and I know actually 44th is as well. That's the T intersection. But here's the phone number. Are you ready?
Yes.
718.
Okay, 718.
854.
854. Okay.
00. 03.
So who I need to looking for?
My name is Jeremy. Call me tomorrow between 9 and 5. If you get Maria or Natasha and I'm not there at that moment, leave a message for me and I will call you back.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Jim Glazer next. Jim, you could unmute yourself.
Hi, yeah, this is Jim Glazer from the Save Grand Prospect Hall team, logging in for the first time at the community board meeting here. I am a neighbor on 18th Street. And as many of you know, we have been up to an interesting fight with the current owner to have a say in what is happening there and what may be rebuilt. We have a very progressive team, a legal team, and an activist team, and also a business team that is prepared to engage with the new owner on a win-win. This is a fairly complex situation where my team includes better people to talk to about some of this, including our attorney and a former member of Community Board 6. But what I did want to do today was introduce myself and then maybe have offline conversations with anybody that's interested in what's happening at Grand Prospect Hall, or to answer any questions you might have now.
I'm sorry we don't do Q&A with the attendees. You do have 3 minutes if you want to continue. Otherwise, you could put your information in the Q&A for people to reach out to you. And I would also invite you to reach out to the board.
Okay, excellent. So understanding the 3 minutes, once again, we are, this all started at the end of August when we found out that Grand Prospect Hall, this beloved institution that is a major part of really 2 neighborhoods, was going to be destroyed. We're part of an effort that now has a 40,000 name petition behind it. We have been engaging with local elected officials, including Jumaane Williams' office. We are anticipating incoming electeds and the potential to pursue this into the new year. Once again, a sophisticated team where I am a coalition builder, and I will put my information into the chat here for anybody that is curious or might be able to bring some capabilities to the team. But bottom line is there is a win-win here. We are not your grandmother's activism crew. We do also bring business smarts. And I do believe if there is an intelligent plan put together around what is going to happen at the Grand Prospect Hall site, it can be good for this community in many ways. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. I have Carrie Finnegan.
Hello again, everybody. I wanted to stay on just to say thank you. I know the decision that the board made today did not go in the favor of our school community, but even still, I just really appreciated the thoughtful discussion from all the members of the board. So thank you. In particular, thank you to David and Grisel on the board for their kind words. We've really enjoyed having like moments for partnership there and continue to look forward to do so. And then I know it was already kind of addressed, but I was pretty upset by Genesis Aquino's comments. So I felt like there was misinformation and they were somewhat defamatory. So I did want just like a quick moment to respond. Thank you to Julio for clarifying charter schools are public schools. The charter law here in New York, you're not allowed to have private for-profit schools. And so we are not. We are definitely a nonprofit, non-traditional public school. It's just a really big piece of misinformation out there. And so anytime it's said, I really encourage anyone on this board to please like disabuse anybody that has that notion. We are not a private entity. We are not for-profit in any way, shape, or form. And then to the point of us not, or me putting our school in the position, you are absolutely right that I am ultimately responsible for finding a building for our students and families. I take that responsibility really seriously. I've been looking really hard. We can go anywhere in District 15. I originally was working at PS 24 and fell in love with Sunset Park. And the idea for Brooklyn Rise was born out of serving the Sunset Park community and particularly multilingual learners. So we would prefer very much to stay in Sunset Park. We have other building options in more northern Brooklyn that we're just Frankly, we just really want to try to stay in Sunset Park as much as possible. That is why our school was founded. The mission of our school is centered around being in the Sunset Park community. So again, it's my responsibility. This was 222 44th Street was really important to us. And of course, I respect the board's decision, even if I don't agree with it. And we will continue looking and fighting for space. Hopefully we will stay in Sunset Park. And so just again, thank you. And a special thank you to John and all of the land use committee. You did not have to agree to let us come back a second time to respond to your questions from the first meeting, and that extra time that you gave us, I just really appreciate to respond to the questions and concerns. So thank you all so much. I am now both working in CB7 and now I live here. I'm on 43rd Street, and I'm very much looking forward to being hopefully more involved with the community board in the future as both a resident and someone who works here. So thank you, everyone. I know it's been a long meeting. I hope everyone has a great night. So thank you. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you, Carrie. Julio, I don't see any additional hands up.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned by Sam Sierra, seconded by Cynthia Gonzalez. Hearing no objection. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Have a great night. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good
Thank you, Jeremy.
Good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right. Bye-bye.